Welcome back to C Turbo Addicts channel, guys. I wanted to kind of give you an update on where I am and some of the things we're going to go over today. I went ahead and re-gasketed these. This is the motor that I've rebuilt. I have put new gaskets on this side of the motor right here. This is the exhaust side. There's a double gasket. There's a baffle plate between here. Re-gasketed that, put my parts back on, remembering from my old videos, if you guys watched, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 up on this side for this guy, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up for this guy here. So those are all on. This is just on loose right now. I just put it there. The motor is not bolted to the midsection. I just put it up here because it's a good working height. It's a solid surface to work on this thing. The other side, I have put all new gaskets on the transfer port cover. As you can see, I went ahead and bolted up the carburetors that I had rebuilt and put new fuel lines connecting the two. I had also, if you can see there, I had capped both of these, which there was a line that connected from here to here, and I had removed it. It used to cause a lean condition, and Mercury had recommended that you removed it. It was supposed to be some kind of fuel saver idea and didn't work out that way. So bought 1/8" vacuum caps and put those on. Today we're going to go ahead and work on putting the choke shutters back on. Got a few items over here that I decided today was the day to put on. We got the distributor we're going to bolt on. We're going to bolt the coil back on, and we're going to put the choke and the covers back on right now. At this point in time, that's what I'm going to do, and then we're going to get to start up with setting up how this distributor and the timing belt goes on. I just want to confirm some stuff with my buddy before I move any further. So I'll get you guys set up in a good view, and I'll get my stuff set up, and we'll go over. We'll go ahead and start with the carburetors, putting them back on. Obviously, let's go over here. You got to put the linkage together. I put these on together as a unit and then put the fuel lines on afterwards. This is the bolt for the swivel on the choke shutter, as I'll call it. This is the bolt for your cage. So it's pretty straightforward, but I'm going to bolt them back together as a unit. And you got to remember that spring goes on this guy and the spring goes out. So let's look at it here. It goes like this out, and the spring goes down to keep tension on it. So we'll bolt that on, and this goes up to the solenoid that controls the choke. And then the cages are pretty simple, but I'll get you guys set up for a better view, and we'll start working on all that stuff. All right. Alright, trying to give you guys the best view I can, so this is a little bit tricky. I know that a lot of my other videos have been kind of so-so on the placement of the camera, and you end up watching my back a lot. I had taken off these bolts here, and I took off this bolt here, and I took off all the face bolts that hold on the little cages. So if you did like I did, you still have your assembly here, which goes on this guy. Oh, hang on, I got my spring caught here. So it should go right back on just like that. They should close together, which they do, and you got your spring on here. So first thing I'd recommend is going ahead and putting the bolt on where the spring goes. which is a 7/16 wrench, so that doesn't come off. Hopefully I'm not too much in your way and you're not watching my back the whole time. Try not to. Got you guys on a one of those Joby Gorilla Pods, and you're actually mounted to the steering cable right now, so that should be fun. So I'm supposed to go to baby shower for a friend of mine today. I'm not real big on baby showers, but he's a good guy and I used to work with him. And my wife is currently sick, so she's in the house right now with a fever, and I'm gonna have to cancel going to the baby shower. I'm really upset because now I have to work on my motor and get it closer to being done. You know what I mean? This is rough life for me here. So can you guys see that? Yeah, you can pretty much see that. Then I put these two on. You're gonna want to tighten them up. Not too tight, so then this shit won't move. They have nylon washers on them too, so these things have to move freely or else your choke won't work right. You don't want these to be yanking ass tight, like that's too tight. Just kind of do it by feel. Tighten it up until it moves nice and smooth. Take it off a little quarter turn, you know. So when that solenoid hooks in, it's a little pressure on here. Alakazam, you have choke. Pretty cool, huh? So simple design, real simple to put together. I always get a little nervous when I see a lot of linkage and stuff, so you know that worries me a bit. So looking at this, I think you guys can see the top two from this view. The top two are the ones that I'm going to talk about. Your cage goes on here, right? There's a little hook that hooks in there, and then the bolt goes down on the bottom. Now, let me let this zoom in for a second. Let me show you the bolt that goes with this one. There's a spring. Come on, focus. I don't know if you can see that spring or not. There's a little spring on there. These top two carburetors take that spring on the outside. So these are kind of a pain in the ass to get in because you're just in a weird spot. So I would recommend that if you're putting this thing together on a bench, which you can easily do, it's a lot easier to get this bolt in than it is to try and put it in this way. That's an afterthought for me. That's why I do this stuff, so that you guys can learn from some of my mistakes and not make the same ones that I have. So once you get it in there, you gotta hold it tight. You put a Phillips head screwdriver on there, tighten it down. The best way to do this would probably be put something behind it, like a pair of needle nose pliers to hold it out, because it locks in, and then just tighten it down. Once it starts to grab, you'll know. And alakazam. pretty much it there. Just watch the back of the screw. You don't want the back of the screw buried into the carburetor. These things are made to be a little loose, you know. All this stuff has moving parts, so you never have anything that's got moving parts that doesn't have washers or spacers specifically in it to be really tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and bolt the rest of those on, and that's how you put your carburetors back on. Alright, next on the list is we're going to go ahead and start working on the coil pack, which is a real simple, straightforward install. 3 bolts, and then we're going to start getting into the distributor, which isn't, none of this stuff putting it back together is hard. It's once we start getting all these things set up. I want to point something out though about the coil pack. There's 3 bolts here, one of them grounds down, right? And if you watch any of my other videos, you know that I always tell you to put the bolts back in. These being 2 inches long, and working on the motor during the rebuild process, I had bent one of these. So, over at Home Depot, they sell 1032 is the thread that you're looking for. Stainless steel. They're $1.99 for 2. I know it's expensive for 2, but I'm gonna go ahead and replace it since I bent that one. So I'm gonna put you on the tripod here and zoom you in a little bit so you can see what's going on. Hopefully I'll stay out of your way. I really am going to try to do that more often for you guys. Ground strap goes back through one of those bolts, if you can see that. Okay. Actually, you guys probably don't need to watch me just bolt those 3 in. Zoom in. It's just 3 bolts there. Go ahead and put those 3 in and you're done with the coil pack. Alright, next is the distributor. Let me get out of the light. Remember, there's a key in this thing, as you can see there, okay? So don't drop the key when you're taking the cap off the top of the gear. Don't lose that key. You'll see in my disassembly video that I pointed out that key. Mine has 3 bolts. We're not worried about putting the let's see if I can get you guys a better view of how I'm going to put this in. Okay, that's about as good as it gets. Ooh, live action. Alright, so there's 3 bolts here. This orients with this face out this way. So, you take off the gear. You slide her up in there. Well, the trick is to get... You gotta remember that slight issue here. Gotta have this open. That grabs the whole shebang bang up there. Alright, once you get that up there, you're gonna need a bolt in your fucking hand, which I don't have. Ooh, it stayed. And you line these up. Put them in there. A little cockamamie. Get them started. Ooh, live action. Talk about being in the scene, huh? Trying. Let's see if I got it. Of course not. Let's go ahead and bolt these down. Remember, when bolting things down like this, don't go crazy blasting one in. Put it down some way, do the next one, do it in sequence. You try and blast them down, you're gonna cause binding issues if these things don't all line up. A lot of people just think, oh, I can reach this bolt now, I'm gonna fucking bolt it as fucking hard as I can down. You know, everybody talks like that too. But take your time, have fun with this, because if you don't, you can cause a lot of issues later down the road. Get nice and tight. It's a 1/2 inch bolt, by the way, or a 1/2 inch socket if you guys are watching this and you're getting out your stuff, getting ready to go. And remember, be careful when tightening these down too, because this stuff is made of aluminum. I've said this a bunch of times, because you can easily strip one of these out, no problem, you know? Alright, so I'm not gonna put the gear on, or the belt on the gear right now. I'm gonna just put the gear on loosely, because do you see, you probably see that arrow from your view. Let me see. Yeah, you can see that arrow. Now, this arrow should be pointing towards the center of the crankshaft. Don't quote me on that, and we'll go over that a little bit later, okay? But just keep that in mind. With that arrow pointing at the crankshaft, this little tab lines up with this tab. So, you know, it's a pretty good indication that we're on the right track. If you watch my old videos, it's kind of what we were shooting for before. And the next thing that you're going to want to check, and let me take you over here to show you these things. Alright, there's this ground strap that goes back to here where we took it off from before. And then also, over here you see this linkage, and this is kind of what I was screwing with before. When the distributor moves, it opens the throttle, okay? So you want to make sure that all this stuff can easily rotate. This is the arm that connects to here, so you can pull this and make sure that you don't have anything binding, okay? You don't want anything binding in here. You'll cause problems down the road. It would suck to put all this together and you go, oh shit, I gotta fucking take it all apart now. So always check, especially because this distributor moves and all this good shit. You know, you don't want any of this stuff binding up. We'll get into setting all these. You know, this says idle stop, spark advance. I don't know if you can see that here. And then here's your throttle stop. Now, I don't have a bolt in my throttle stop, and I don't know about that. I'm gonna ask somebody about that, okay? So as of right now, that's where we are. I'm gonna keep assembling, and I'm gonna call my buddy on the phone here in a little bit about how to set this thing up for top dead center, which I have a video on, and we can keep bolting though. All right. All right, welcome back to C Turbo Addicts channel. Actually, not welcome back. You're still in the same video. I'm gonna make a little bit longer of a video because I'm moving along today. So far, I've got my motor mounted on there. I had put the gasket on the bottom, and I got that, put my distributor in, as you've seen from before. I just kind of strung my wires across right now, and these are just old plugs that I just kind of kept in there. I had set this to top dead center. There's another video I have to set this to top dead center, and underneath this cover there is a little pointer that needs to point towards the center of the shaft for top dead center. That's how they should line up. This at top dead center, this little pointer underneath this cover, which you've seen in my earlier in this video, should point towards the center of this shaft. It ends up being where these two lines kind of line up pretty damn well. This I've moved it a little bit because I was bolting everything down. Just an FYI, you have to put this cage on. This cage, or cowl as they call it, has to go on before you bolt the motor down to the midsection. You will not be able to get this thing on after that, okay? So lift the motor up, slide this underneath, and put it on. Another thing, up underneath here, I can't really tell if you guys can see it. That's one of the bolts. There's two up on the front of the motor here that bolt down the midsection. There's 6, 7, 8 that bolted down. So the 3 on each side, and then that one there being the 8th one. Now, I want you to know that when bolting this thing together, you have to lift the motor up a little bit. You can't have it sitting all the way down, and thread this on first. Once you thread that on, then you can tighten it, then you can let it all the way down and tighten it all the way up. So it's just a heads up. The next part of discussion is we're going to go ahead and look at the fuel pump here, which goes about yay so in this location where those screws are. This top one runs on this line, which I haven't cut to length yet, which runs to the top of the carburetor. The front one goes to this line, which runs out to the front of here, which is where you hook up your fuel line at, okay? And this is the placement that it goes, and in this placement there's 2 hoses. The first one, being this one that you see dead right in front of you, goes right there, okay? The second one, right there, that's closer towards the motor, goes down there to that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my hoses to length, hook it up, leaving some slack, and have that ready to go too. I'll show you once it's all installed. I mean, there's no real tricks to it. It's pretty straightforward. I had rebuilt my fuel pump for this thing. I rebuilt my fuel pump. I rebuilt my carburetors. If you want to know about rebuilding the fuel pump, it's really easy. Just go through my videos. There's a video for rebuilding the fuel pump too. I suggest you do it. It's something that's always overlooked in these motors. Cheap insurance. It was like 15 bucks for the fuel pump rebuild kit, okay? I have the part numbers and everything there on the video, so check it out. Like my videos. I'll be right back, and we'll see if I keep going. I'm waiting on a phone call at the moment. So thanks for watching so far, guys. Okay, I want to point something out about this fuel pump. This hose that runs straight down there, okay, it's got to make a 90-degree bend. All right, now I had bought straight hose. I'm sure they sell this hose as a Mercury replacement. Not sure how much you'd pay for it, and I don't know if there's anything out there that'll make this bend without doing as you see here. All right, so you can see that it's crimping right there, and it's going to cause issues down the road. So what I was recommended to do a couple days ago from my buddy Tom, who's been doing this for a long time, he said to buy stainless steel springs and put them inside the hose. So I'm gonna try and see if I can pick some up from the local hardware store today, because I need to get a couple more hose clamps anyway. So as of right now, this is where the motor's going to stay until I get that done. I don't think there's much more that I can do that won't cause any issues right now. Until I talk to Tom about setting this all up. I'm going to kind of leave it at that for right now. Maybe I'll run over there and finish it up tomorrow, but I'm going to wait to hear back from him. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned.